I think this is not only obviously the biggest fight of Terence Crawford's career, but in a career that's filled with almost nothing but huge fights, this is the biggest fight of Canelo Alvarez's career.
A lot stronger, and I think he's going to have better endurance. Not being able to blow himself down like that, and even though it is a huge jump, I think we lose sight of the fact of how much he had to boil down and how gaunt he looked at one point.
Said you don't think, or you don't look into the weight difference. Why?
Well, you know how to box. When you're as skillful as Terence Crawford is, weight don't really matter much.
Max Kellerman has given his final verdict on the highly anticipated showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Speaking as part of Netflix's elite broadcast team, Kellerman delivers sharp analysis and historical insight, framing this fight as one of the most significant and defining events in modern boxing history.
A great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford. But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guy.
Yeah. Max Kellerman isn't holding back, labeling Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford as the most watched championship fight in nearly 50 years. He draws a parallel to the legendary 1978 Muhammad Ali Leon Spinks rematch, which drew 90 million viewers. With Netflix broadcasting this historic clash, Kellerman stresses it represents more than just a mega fight. It marks a major transformation in boxing's global reach and business model, promising audiences far greater than traditional pay-per-view numbers.
Where would you rank this fight out of your top 3 to 5 of all the boxing fights you've called, you've experienced, you've watched?
In terms of the magnitude of the
magnitude,
fight?
Yeah.
I mean, of the fights that I've called ringside, it might turn out to be number 1. I've done Pacquiao fights, I've done Mayweather fights, I've done Anthony Joshua against Klitschko. Those are big fights, but because of Netflix, this will be the most watched fight, championship fight, in almost 50 years. This is going to be because Muhammad Ali fought Leon Spinks in the rematch in '78, and they did 90 million TV sets. 90 million. And since then, what has even come close? The biggest fights have all been on pay-per-view, and they do 2 million buys. Oh my God, 4 million buys Mayweather Pacquiao. As I keep saying, if 5 people per TV set watch, that's 20 million people. This is going to do multiples of that. So when you look at it from like a commercial point of view, it'll easily be the biggest boxing event I've ever.
Fight promoter Dana White confirmed in a recent press conference that Max Kellerman will make his long-awaited return to the broadcast booth as part of Netflix's official commentary team for the blockbuster Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford showdown on September 13th, 2025. Kellerman, a respected veteran of boxing commentary, built his reputation through years of insightful analysis at ESPN and HBO. Now, he will join play-by-play announcer John Anik and Hall of Famer Andre Ward in calling the action live from Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. His return marks a significant moment for televised boxing, and Kellerman expressed genuine excitement, calling the matchup the perfect storm. He praised both fighters as generational talents, noting that Terence Crawford currently has his vote as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. At the same time, he acknowledged that until recently, Canelo Alvarez held that distinction universally. Highlighting the rarity of such a clash, Kellerman pointed out that historically only 25 to 30 fighters have ever been recognized as true pound-for-pound kings. Yet both Alvarez and Crawford stand within that exclusive category, making this fight truly historic.
He's the best boxing analyst in the sport. Ladies and gentlemen, Max Kellerman.
All right, so I know you guys are excited about this fight, but I don't think you understand what a big deal it is. This is a perfect storm, First of all, Turki Al-Sheikh. We're lucky he happens to be a boxing fan. None of this happens if he doesn't happen to be a boxing fan. It's just none of us are here. Nick Khan, the best in the business. Dana White is the greatest combat sports promoter of my lifetime. And it's his first ever boxing promotion. So that's who's behind what you're gonna see. You know who's the best pound for pound fighter in the world? The most recent one. Bud Crawford. Apologies to the monster and Usyk. Bud Crawford has my vote for best pound for pound. Who was the best pound for pound before Bud? Canelo Alvarez, universally recognized that way. But it's not just these two guys, the last two best pound for pound fighters in the world. There haven't been that many. Before Canelo, who do you have? Before Canelo, Floyd or Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather. Before, you could take the lineage back. There've only been, 25 or 30 fighters who ever lived who you said that's the best pound for pound fighter in the world. These are two of them, the last two. And they're gonna fight in Las Vegas on September 13th. Canelo is 62-2 with 2 draws, 62-2. So was Marvin Hagler when Sugar Ray Leonard moved up to fight him, and they produced one of the biggest spectacles in the history of boxing. This fight is a perfect storm. I could not be more excited to be a part of it.
Timothy Bradley Jr. predict the opening round of Canelo Alvarez versus Terence. Crawford won't deliver fireworks, but instead unfold like a tactical chess match. He believes both fighters will take a cautious approach, avoiding unnecessary risks as they carefully study each other's rhythm, timing, and distance. Bradley notes that Crawford is known for starting patiently, conserving energy while setting subtle traps, while Canelo often spends early rounds adjusting to his opponent's style. According to Bradley, fans should expect a measured, subdued beginning, one where strategy outweighs action before the intensity builds and both fighters unleash their full arsenals in the later rounds.
His punching power as well. In the beginning, it's all the position balance. Like both guys are going, trying to get balance and trying to find their rhythm, understanding their distance to where they can punch and at the same time avoid getting hit. It takes Crawford a little bit more time than I would say Canelo to get right to it. Canelo, although he is a prolific counterpuncher, fantastic counterpuncher, he tends to find his spots a lot quicker. And the indication of that is when, if you look at any of the boxers that Canelo has faced, Trout, even Danny Jacobs, even when he fought against Charlo, you just check out the first round. He usually takes off, just feels the power, cruises, see what these guys know, couple of feints, level changes, gathering information, right? Crawford does the same and similar things. So I think the first round's going to be a real, calm and cautious round by both fighters. But in the second round, Canelo's going to start applying that pressure, man. Pre-engagement with Crawford is a little bit more difficult than a Charlo, okay? Let me explain this. So pre-engagement is the movements before you get into that sweet spot, which is mid-range, to be able to let your hands go, right? Both guys are trying to counter each other's movement. Both guys are looking at each other's, hands, trying to anticipate what they believe is going to come next. During those periods right there, Crawford is one of the best at it, okay? Because he's smart, he's cerebral. Like a fighter to a fighter, we can feel when another fighter is like, oh, he's on my rhythm.
WBC lightweight champion Shakur Stevenson remains steadfast in his belief that Terence but Crawford will defeat Canelo Alvarez and possibly stop him. Stevenson has consistently highlighted Crawford's elite attributes, pointing to his speed, ring IQ, and versatile southpaw stance as decisive advantages. He's even gone so far as to say Crawford will cook Canelo warning fans it could turn into a one-sided affair. Stevenson first voiced his prediction back in 2021 and has never wavered since, insisting Crawford's precision, adaptability, and all-around skill set make him not just a challenger, but the logical favorite in this historic matchup.
I think he's gonna cook him. I think, Canelo a hell of a fighter, but I think Bud's is not on the tools to beat him.
You don't think the weight difference is gonna be too big of an advantage?
I think y'all make that something, in certain fights,
Boxing
yeah.
makes it something.
Like if this was like a Benavidez, he's actually a lot bigger than Bud, so that would like apply. But I feel like with Canelo, he's like physically kind of big, but like height wise, he's kind of small. So I don't think so. No, I think that's possible. Like I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but I think it's a possibility if Canelo gets to acting out of line and not understanding that Bud can crack.
Terence Crawford's unanimous decision victory over Israel Madrimov at 154 pounds was far more than another notch on his record. It was a legacy-defining achievement. In his debut at junior middleweight, Crawford captured the WBA title, making him a four-division world champion and solidifying his place among boxing's rare elite. Even more historic, he became the first male fighter of the four-belt era to achieve undisputed status in two divisions, super lightweight and welterweight, underscoring his extraordinary versatility and sustained dominance. This milestone reinforced Crawford's reputation as a master technician whose brilliance transcends weight classes. Against Madrimov, a naturally bigger, physically imposing opponent known for his strength and pressure, Crawford showcased his trademark ring IQ, sharp timing, and defensive discipline. He calmly dismantled Madrimov's advantages, using accuracy, patience, and adaptability to dictate the fight on his own terms. The performance proved his skill set is not confined to one division, but travels seamlessly as he climbs the scale. Rather than merely surviving against larger opposition, Crawford thrived, reminding fans and analysts alike why he is regarded as one of sport's most complete fighters. The win not only earned him another championship belt, but further cemented his status as an all-time great.
2024. He spent from 2018 until August of 2024, right? 6 years at 147. Okay? And he's had 8 fights at 147. All knockouts. And 1 fight at 154, which was a unanimous decision over Israel Madrimov. So you can make a case he's actually a welterweight jumping to 168. But he did make a pit stop at 54 and became a champion. So we have to acknowledge that because that goes into his accomplishment bags. That makes him a 4-division champion. So the concern is Terence Crawford jumping up in weight. This is a weight class that Canelo Alvarez has now been in since 2020. He's been at this weight for 5 years when he made his debut against Caleb Smith. But remind you, he fought against Danny Jacobs at 160 in 2019. Then in November 2019, he jumped to 75 and fought Sergey Kovalev, then came back down to 68. So it's doable, right? But with that said, everybody's concerned with the weight and how Terence Crawford puts on the weight. So let's explain it. As you see the new photos that Terence Crawford has leaked, Terence Crawford has lean bulks. Okay, as you see here, Terence Crawford there, right? He has lean bulks. Okay, he put the bulk on in his weight, in his legs, and in his shoulders to be able to take the punch.
Trainer Dave Caldwell praises Terence Crawford's distinctive style, particularly his seamless stance switching and masterful footwork. He stresses that Crawford's leg movement is an often overlooked weapon, enabling him to control distance, create sharp angles, and disrupt an opponent's rhythm. Caldwell believes these skills could be crucial against a relentless pressure fighter like Canelo Alvarez. If Crawford maintains his mobility and avoids being pinned against the ropes, Caldwell argues he has the perfect tools to frustrate Canelo, dictate the pace, and steadily accumulate points on the scorecards while keeping the fight in his control.
I've always fancied Crawford. I just think he's different. I think there's something about him. I think if you add what Crawford's good at, his brain, he can switch. He's very good as a southpaw. His judgment of distance is fantastic. His punch picking is fantastic. He's got good legs. When you add what, and he can pop. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's got the power to hurt Canelo, but he might have the power to surprise Canelo a little bit and just sting him and just. But when you look at what Crawford does well, and then I look at this version of Canelo, as Canelo's got on, his punch rate's gone down. His feet have never been the fastest, but he's always had good placement of feet. His feet aren't the fastest, and he loads up. And he don't really like boxing at a pace. So I kind of look at that and I think Crawford can manage his way through the fight to win it on points. I think he can manage moments, tough moments. When Canelo detonates a big shot on him, he's going to know about it because Crawford's been hurt before. When Crawford gets hit, he does get hit. That's why he's exciting. But he does get hit. So that means that Canelo could land on him. I just think that Canelo will land a bomb and Crawford knows enough to tie up, to get off an angle.
Veteran trainer and analyst Teddy Atlas notes that Terence Crawford hasn't learned how to lose, a reflection of his unshakable mindset and mental toughness. Atlas emphasizes that Crawford's greatness isn't built solely on his physical gifts, speed, defense, and adaptability, but also on his inner resilience and refusal to accept defeat. This mental edge, his unwavering belief in victory even under the highest pressure, sets him apart from most fighters. According to Atlas, Crawford's psychological strength serves as an intangible weapon, elevating his performance when it matters most and making him not just talented, but dangerously formidable inside the ring.
Crawford, his composure going to be like the moment a punch lands on him from Canelo.
Are you kidding me? Take that question back.
Yeah, why?
Because you're talking about Crawford.
He's playing weight classes.
The most composed guy. What, you don't think he'll be prepared? You think it'll be a shock to him? No. You think it'll be, oh my God, I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. That ain't happening with Crawford. He knows exactly what he's getting himself and why. He's the one looking for it. He don't have nobody with a gun behind him saying you got to go do this. He's the one. And look, it's a tremendous challenge because Canelo's a tremendous fighter and bigger and strong, and he can obviously he can punch and he can time you and he can do all the things that have made him so special. There's no doubt about it. But we're forgetting about those things I just talked about with Crawford just because he's smaller. We're forgetting that. He'll come up with a game plan where he won't let the other guy use his size. Do you remember somebody named Manny Pacquiao when he was making his bones, the first time he hit the big stage? You got all these great fighters here. It was with a guy named Oscar De La Hoya, a hell of a fighter. And everyone said, oh, it'd be too small for him. And then I said, I gotta say, I got one right. I said, how about Manny's going to be too fast for him? Oh, Teddy, guys, how about he's going to be too quick? How about he's going to be like a couple of those mosquitoes and gnats at a barbecue and disrupt the whole damn barbecue? How about that? Oh, how about Crawford disrupts the whole damn barbecue?
Debate over Canelo Alvarez often swings to extremes, either dismissing his legacy by criticizing opponent quality or glorify his achievements without question. Critics argue he's favored safer matchups or catch weights, while Canelo defends his record, stressing that great fights require willing opponents. He adds many rivals simply move up only to survive against it.
It's just a fact. Canelo has fought the who's who. Sure, were all of them in their prime? No, but that's not his fault. He moved up in weight to fight some people. He sought out difficult opponents and matchups. You know, same way he was like, oh, Floyd didn't necessarily fight some of the best names in his resume at the best time in their career. Not his fault. Floyd went up and sought people out. So Canelo's sitting there, like, yeah, I don't give a shit. And he's pretty much the only guy that can really say that right.
I feel that I'm the best, and that's it. I don't focus on if the people say or put me in the first position, I'm the best. I feel I'm the best. I'm doing because I love boxing.
I call Canelo out because, like I said, he the last great fighter amongst the era that surpassed us. This is my mega fight. This is my moment.
You didn't have much interest in this Crawford fight. You were saying that there wasn't much in it for you, and you pointed out that people will say that he was too small. What changed?
I think he's one of the best fighters for more fun. No, he accomplished a lot of things too. Mexican with the American fighter is always big.
When he fights you at Allegiant Stadium,
Canelo's like, I knew the money was crazy. That's why he's like, yeah, I knew that. The Mexican fighter versus the American fighter. Canelo can draw. Allegiant Stadium. That's what it is. I mean, yes, there's the element of greatness involved as well. But Canelo knew he was getting a bag for this. Canelo knew that Terence had to do all the difficult stuff. Let's be honest about it. This is why I favor Canelo in the...
For Max Kellerman, the upcoming showdown with Terence Crawford isn't just another marquee fight. It's a defining moment of Canelo Alvarez's career. He acknowledges that Canelo has already secured a Hall of Fame legacy by conquering multiple weight divisions. However, Kellerman argues that none of those wins carry the same weight as facing Crawford, an undefeated master technician who represents the ultimate test of skill and adaptability. In his view, the result will either elevate Canelo to an untouchable level of greatness or leave lingering doubts about his ability to conquer boxing's ultimate challenge.
One thing about Canelo is he's been in a million big events. And I'm going to ask him about this just between you and me when he gets here. Don't tell him. But has he ever been in a bigger fight than this one? Is this everyone knows this is easily the biggest fight of Terence Crawford's career. But has he ever been in a fight as big as Canelo Alvarez, who's been in a million huge fights? Floyd Mayweather, that was huge, and that was Floyd, but he was young then. He was young, and he wasn't going to be in front of, 50 million people worldwide. Because this ain't a pay-per-view. This is available to everybody. I think Triple G, those were big fights, but not like this.
What's your take on this historic showdown? Is it the defining fight of this era? And who do you see holding the edge, Canelo or Crawford? Share your thoughts below.